Okay, you've seen me build this in 4 videos. Now we're gonna crush them all down into one and talk through this really, really fast. So let's dive in and build this thing in one video. So we're going to start this project off with some oak. Yeah, you kind of saw that one coming because we're always using oak. But in this case, it's all going to be red oak because the top is red oak. So I thought, why not do it all in red oak? We're going to resaw all of these down into 3 strips each. They're all going to end up being a little over an 1/8 inch. In the plans, I'm going to tell you, mill it down to an 1/8 inch. I wish I had taken these all down to an 1/8 inch. Just would make it easier to bend rather than making them a little bit thicker. Then you can lay them out on the table. I'm using a double-sided tape to hold them down, and we can plane them down smooth. 2 of the strips in the middle will need to be ripped down to a thinner size so that we can fit the tube in between them. And then this tube is what will allow the cable to pass through this arch from one end to the other. So we're going to cut the tube a little longer than it needs to be and get that ready. For the actual glue lamination, we're going to put down some plastic wrap on the bench to protect it and start by layering on epoxy. We're going to be using Total Boat's high performance epoxy on here and slather it in. Don't worry about putting it on too thick. If it's too thick, then it gets squeezed out rather nicely, and this actually works really well for that. And if there's any gaps, then if it's too thick, then there's epoxy to fill the gap. So after laying it all down, we're going to cinch strap it down with a trucking strap and then bend it in. And I actually needed to bend it a little bit more than this, but it was starting to set on me, and so I had to wait. Putting on some hand screw clamps holds everything together, squeezes out any. We have this shape. This will be large enough to get the 2 arches out of. There were a couple cracks in this, but that was okay because I needed to take off about a 1/2 inch of thickness on this. I left it a good bit larger than it needed to be so that I had something to work with. So we're going to cut off both of the ends and then cut it in a half, and we now have a tube running through the middle of our arch. Now let's go back over to the slab. This is a chunk of red oak from Matt Cremona's stash. And this is left over from the desks that I made recently, but I had 2 of these that were book matched, and I thought they would work out pretty well for this. So we're going to experiment with a couple different colors with the epoxy. We're actually using the Total Boat Thick Set. This will give it a much longer cure time, but it will be much clearer and fill in everything. I'm using vacuum bags to suck the epoxy into the slab, and this actually worked far better than I expected. It actually pulled the epoxy into the slab, but I found it better to pour the epoxy in first and get it underneath the slab and then suck the air up through it, and that would actually draw the epoxy up into the slab and fill out the vacuum bag. After a couple days of letting them sit, you can peel it off, and now we have a lot of grunky stuff to get rid of. This actually, the big stuff on here you can lop off with a chisel. I'm just using a really junky chisel. It doesn't take much. You could probably do it with a screwdriver. And then we can come in with a scrub plane. If you had a router sled, this might be the time to use it. But the scrub plane gets it down flat, and then we can come in with the smoothing plane and flattening planes and really bring this down into the surface. Yes, you can plane epoxy. It works fairly well. On the 2 ends that were cut off by the chainsaw, we're going to square those off and clean them up with a low-angle jack and get those nice and purty. So this will actually be a slab with 2 ends, but one of the ends, it kind of turns in the middle, which is kind of interesting. On the epoxy, we're going to come at it with chisels and bring it down into its rough shape, and then spoke shaves, get it down close to it. And then we can come in with the card scraper and detail it down in. Here you can see taking off with the chisel. This actually worked really, really well. I was very pleased with how fast it cleaned it up, got it down to shape, and then the spoke shaves did pretty well. So I want to mark locations on the bottom slab, so I pound in a finish nail a little ways and then pinch it off about 1/8 inch above. That gives me a pointy point. And so I put in all the locations on one slab and then set the other slab down on top, and this transfers locations to the top. This actually worked phenomenally well. I was very, very happy with this, as long as I actually used the points in the correct direction on the arch. And one of them I put in the correct direction, and one of them I didn't. So, oops. Those points should have been where the front edge of the arch was, and I ended up putting it where the bottom edge of the arch was. We're going to mortise out the bottom for this to fit into, and now we have an arch in the bottom slab. We need to do one as well in the top slab. I want to make sure that it is square in both directions, and it is what we're looking for. I do have entire videos where I detail this a little bit better so you can see more information on it, and this whole thing step by step, which, yeah, this is going through it pretty quickly. In the top end of the top arch, we want to create a stop, and this will be what terminates the cable. So we have a 1/4 inch stainless steel rod going through with a thimble that wraps around it. And so we can put the thimble on one cable, and then slide it down through that hole, and that rod will stop it from coming out. So we can pull the cable through, put on a thimble and a NicoPress sleeve, and we are good to go. So you can see how this will wrap around and then fit down in there. Speaking of which, let's cut the cable to length and then slide on some NicoPress sleeves and crimp them into place. Actually, they're not NicoPress because it's a brand name. They're compression sleeves. And you see how this will then slide in, and the cable will then run through this arch. So this end will actually be glued into the surface. We're going to round over the edge where the cable comes out, and this way you can see how it will wrap around. There's no pinch point, no tightness on there, and it'll give a nice clean feed as it comes all the way around. Then as the bottom arch, as the cable goes through the bottom slab, we need to have a hole for it to come out the bottom. So I'm going to mark where the cable actually comes out and then drill a hole through it. This will allow the cable to come from the top slab, the top arch, through the top arch, into the bottom arch, and then out the bottom, out through the bottom slab. And this will be what actually suspends the table slabs apart. Very, very happy with how this came out. It was exactly what it needed to be. Now for the cable terminations, we need to actually be able to drill these in at 30 degrees. And so I cut a scrap piece at 30 degrees, and in the face of the board we're going to be drilling in with a 7/8 inch hole at 30 degrees, and then from the edge of the board we're going to drill in a 1/4 inch hole. And that 1/4 inch hole will hold a 1/4 inch stainless steel rod going through, as you can see here. So this is a test subject, so you can drive the rod through the hole, and now that thimble with the NicoPress will stop it from coming out. And this will be underneath the top slab. So all of these cables will be terminated like that. And then into the bottom slab, we actually have small thimbles that need to be pounded in. The cable will just go through. So if you're looking at the coffee table, all you'll see is the cable going down through the bottom slab, and it just disappears. So you really don't see any hardware, you just see the cables. Now that we've done all the test work, we can take it over to the main slab and fit them in. In this one, I had a couple cables going at an angle, trying to make one go straight. It just didn't work out right, and so for the plans, I actually have it to have 3 X's as opposed to 2 X's and a V. But yeah, so you can see fitting those sleeves in so that the cable can then run through the bottom slab. Now it's time to do a test fit up, because we need to test and make sure this thing will actually work. So I created spacers that are the appropriate distance between the top and bottom, and then we can very carefully set this whole thing on those, and it'll just kind of balance on top of those, making sure not to bump it until all the cables come in, and then the cables pulled tight will keep this whole thing in suspension. But this will allow it to hold it in place so that I can then feed the cables up through. Well, this whole thing is upside down, so they're actually going up through the bottom. And then with the cables in place, I'm clamping them onto the side just to do a simple test. We can pull out the spacers and see how it is. Now this is really sloppy because the cables haven't been pulled tight. They're just in there. But it gave me an idea to make sure everything was working. Once I knew everything was working, then we can flip over the bottom slab and work on the bottom of it. We're going to drill out all of the mortises to fit turnbuckles. And the turnbuckles will be what can pull the cables nice and tight and actually give this thing the strength that it needs. So we're going to lay out where all of the turnbuckles need to go. So you can see the hole coming through. The cable will come out the bottom, and then it will turn and go into the turnbuckle. So we can hog out most of the material with augers and then come in with chisels and square out the hole and make it pretty. And this slot at the end will fit another 1/4 inch stainless steel rod. It just pinches down in there, and that will terminate the turnbuckle on one end. And on the other end, we need to create a channel to the hole that the cable will come through. And in that hole, we need to make sure we round it so that the cable will actually follow a rounded path as opposed to a 90-degree end. After doing one, we have 6 more to do. One of these is actually doubled, but I would actually prefer to do it individually. So these can all be worked out, fit them all down, make sure all the turnbuckles can fit, and then we're getting really close to actually being able to install all the hardware on this and tighten it down in, because that's pretty much all the cutting that needs to happen. See how all these slots are laid out and pointing towards where those are at. We're going to start doing all of the detail work on before actually installing this. We want to smooth everything out and get it ready. On the 2 arches, we're going to chamfer the corners and have them stop just before they enter the slab, so we can clean those up. Card scrape everything down nice and smooth. Now for the card scraper, we'll smooth out the epoxy, but it won't get it glass smooth. It won't get it shiny. So we're going to actually smooth it out with the card scraper and get to the shape we want, and then we're going to go through the grits. And we're going to work all the way up through the grits to get that really nice and shiny. But before we do the finishing and all the cabling, we need to actually attach the arches to their 2 slabs. For that, we're going to be using high performance epoxy, and we're going to coat it into the mortise and then let it fit in. I tried putting tape on to protect the surface, but it just wasn't worth it. It was actually easier to clean off any squeeze out later. So on the other one, I didn't put any tape on it. Again, we want to make sure that they are square and true, and then we're just going to let it sit and allow the epoxy to set. And that's that. So it's time to actually do the assembly on this. We're going to drive in the rods into the top. I'm actually going to pound them in a bit farther, and I'm using a 5-minute epoxy to hold them in place and smooth out the outside edge. I wish I had used a clearer regular epoxy, because this just trapped so many bubbles it changed color. And it didn't quite match up well, but oh well, that's one lesson to learn. So now we can assemble this together. We are going to feed the cables through, put the braces in, and now that cables are coming up through the bottom, because this whole thing is upside down, we're going to Nico press on sleeves as close to the opening as we can, because we want to leave ourselves with as much expansion as possible so that this the turnbuckles can pull out the stress in the cable. On some of these, you'll have to cut slots so you can fit a wrench on it, but then you can pull them a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter until they're nice. These aren't quite to full tightness. You can see the top kind of wobbling on it, but they get it close to it. I didn't actually tighten it up until it was all done and things in. So now that it is built, we can start doing all of the final detail for finishing. We're going to go up through the grits on the epoxy. I'm going to use a Scotch-Brite pad and then up to 4,000 grit sandpaper, and then I have Yorkshire grit that actually polishes it and gets it nice and shiny. You can start to see how those epoxy sections are clear, and you can look into them. It took probably about 4 or 5 hours of elbow grease to really shine those up, but I was very, very happy with how they came. For the finish on this one, we are using Rubio Monocoat. This is my favorite protective finish, and it is a great protective finish. It's designed for floors, and you smear it on. You want to leave a little bit of surface on there, but you don't need a lot. You can actually scrape it around, squeegee it. You'll notice that the wood kind of absorbs as much as it can, and it fills in. The color then becomes homogeneous. And it only takes 1 coat. It's monocoat, and you put it on, and then polish it off, wipe off any excess, and that's it. You let it sit for 4 or 5 hours and it's cured. It is an amazing finish, incredibly easy. If there's any defects in it, you can sand that spot and then put on more, and it feathers right into itself. So you can't over put it on. You can under put it on, but it's one of those things that it's incredibly easy. Anyone can do this and get a gorgeous, gorgeous finish as long as the wood underneath was surfaced well. It just comes out great. And it is one of the closest finishes to color of boiled linseed oil that I've come across. One of the reasons why I love it. It really brings out that tone in the wood that you expect and think about. Especially with this red oak, there's so many colors and shapes in it. Even some of the green from the spalting, very, very happy. Little bits of curl and swirl in there, and oh yeah, bring this out in the sunlight and the thing just explodes with shape. I am in love with how this came out. It really ended up being far more than I expected. And someone out there is going to be really happy, because this is up for auction and it is going to charity. So if you are interested in it, go ahead and bid. There's a link to it down below. And yes, it does hold me up. Woo! So there you have it. This has been absolutely mind-blowing, and one of these projects that I've been wanting to make for a long, long time. This was one that came into my brain the first time about a year ago, actually over a year ago now, and I'm really, really happy to finally have it out. If you would like to own this, we are going to be auctioning this off, and all the proceeds will be going to the Winnebago Casa. So if you'd like to do that, there is a link to the auction down below. One lucky person is going to get this, and the auction will be open for 1 week from now. So good luck to anyone trying to get that. I'm actually going to be really sad to see this one go. My wife and I were looking at this, and I was thinking, maybe I should just keep this one. But no, we're going to auction it off. And good luck to everyone who's going to be getting this. This is going to be a fun piece in someone's living room. Also, if you'd like the plans for this, those are now available. You can find those in the link down below. So if you would like to learn from my mistakes and actually go into that, the plans are relatively simple in plans, but they're going to be talking a lot more about the lessons I learned and how to actually work through those. So it's a good way to see how would I actually build this if I'm going to build it again. So take a look at those links down below. I do want to say a huge thank you to all the patrons on Patreon, all the members here on the channel, everyone who's clicked that join button or gone to Patreon and looked at how they can support the channel. it really does mean far more than I can possibly say, because without you, I can't make things like this. Being able to do crazy projects like this, to learn from it, and then give you guys the information of what I've learned, that's what this channel is all about, and it is really brought to you by patrons and members. So say thank you to anyone who's scrolling here on the side, and I think that'll about do it for today. I am looking forward to shipping this off to whoever wins it, and good luck on that. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Okay, we made a coffee table that's all wired up. Now let's go make some coffee so that I can be all wired up. Oh, happiness.